What's up, guys? Back for another Black Series review, and this line is, as you know, full of troopers and full of various ways to army build. But there's one thing that's really never been explored, and that's rebel side army building. And today we're kicking things off with a new army builder. I've only got one to actually play with right now, but we've got the new Rebel Troopers. So this is, Rogue One, A New Hope, that bridging of the gap kind of era for the franchise, because he's got the Death Star plans in there. So we've got some photoreal tech going on. That's kind of a key thing with this wave, is they're really hitting it hard with these humanoid characters. He is in the standard Black Series box, as we come to expect by now. We've got some artwork down there on the corner. He is number 69. He has a write-up in various languages on the back with that artwork again. So let's do it. Let's pull this guy out and take a look. All right, guys, here's our Rebel Trooper out of the packaging. So our first real, true Rebel side army builder for the Black Series line. And this guy obviously takes advantage of the photoreal tech. So there is a great bit to talk about with this guy. We're going to start with, of course, articulation. I am going to take the helmet off just to talk about articulation, just to better move him around, because it does kind of get in the way, but nothing too crazy. He can look up, but only very slightly. He is on a double ball peg, similar to the Han figure that I recently reviewed, although the barbell aspect of it is thinner, so there's not as much motion here. The hair also hits the back of his shirt collar as well. He can look down, he can rotate all around, and then since it is a double ball peg, we do have a little side-to-side bobble action. Arms can go all the way out, they can go all the way around. We've got elbow rotation, we've got a single jointed hinge, we have got a side-to-side hinge at this wrist and rotation. We've got an up and down hinge and rotation at this wrist. We have the upper diaphragm, or torso joint. So he's got a decent range of motion. The vest here is going to hinder that a little bit. It's a malleable plastic, so it does kind of move a bit, but it's going to hit eventually. But you can get him to twist and turn just fine. Legs can go out a bit. He has his gun in his holster right now, so that's of course going to hit, but that's pretty much what he's going to do. Legs kick forward, they kick backwards. Thigh cut. We've got double jointed knees, which go pretty far back. That's almost non-human. And we have got rocker and a hinge at the ankle. So he is pretty standard Black Series, not really missing anything, but doesn't have anything extra either. I think he has everything you might expect for a clearly older gentleman in the articulation department. Now, in the looks department, I am pretty happy with this figure, although for the most part, he is rather basic. And there's one key reason for that, and that's from the neck down. He really doesn't have a lot of paint detail. For the most part, he is just cast in his various plastic colors. And that's not necessarily a negative. If it works, and I'm not going to fault him for doing that. So we've got him in his glossy black boots. We've got the kind of gray cargo pants situation going on here. A lot of wrinkles, a lot of sculpted line work in there, so I'm okay with that. We have got the brown belt with the silver buckle. We have got the holster over here on the side, which does fit his blaster. We'll talk about the blaster in a moment. We've got his blue shirt. It's kind of a light sky blue with the collar. I think it looks pretty good. It looks like it might be hanging pretty well on a human if it were an actual shirt. A lot of nice wrinkles, and it just looks good. It looks like it fits the character well, and it is appropriate to the costume. And we, of course, have his vest here with some sculpted pockets and a lot of wrinkles and line work all over the back. So again, there's not a ton of paint detail on this guy, but again, if he doesn't need it, he doesn't need it. It's just something to point out. Now, the big thing for me personally, and I'm sure for pretty much anybody watching this, is the head sculpt and that helmet. So I'm going to take the helmet off and talk about it real quick. So we'll pop this off, and it just sits on the head. There's nothing to really affix it to the guy, but it's just cast in white plastic. We've got the silver antenna and kind of the control box over here with a little glob of silver on there. We've got some black paint up on the top, and then the strap is black with some white accents down there on the bottom. I think this is fine. It works. It sits well. It's easy to take off. It's easy to put on. My only real gripe is that I've never really liked this helmet. I've always thought it was just kind of goofy. It just looks weird to me. I've never thought it looked very functional. It's very much a 1970s era type generic space helmet, so I'm not going to fault the design. There's nothing wrong there. I think Hasbro translated it pretty well into action figure helmet form. So here he is, front and center, the head sculpt, the face printing technology for this Rebel Trooper. And I gotta say, from a generic guy perspective, I think it looks pretty solid. I'm overall very, very happy with this particular head sculpt. I think it looks great, and the face printing technology brings out every little bit of nuance and detail that this sculpt holds. There is a lot of weathering in the hair. You can see it's kind of a salt and peppery kind of gray with some dry brushing in there to bring out the sculpt. But the face is really what does it for me. I mean, obviously that's the big thing here, and I think it looks pretty good. You know, he's supposed to be just a generic guy. I do think, you know, just based on my recollection and going back to look at that scene in A New Hope, that this guy might be based off a specific Rebel Trooper, just to get a look and feel for the character. But I'm not too sure. I don't know if Hasbro said one way or the other if this was meant to be a specific guy. I'm sure it's not, but I think they might have taken some cues from this particular one. You know, your mileage may vary on that. I'm not sure. That's just what I'm picking up here. It doesn't matter one way or the other. This guy is generic background cannon fodder type situation. So I think what they did here is pretty solid. Now, as far as accessories goes, this guy has the one weapon and he has the helmet. So I guess you might want to count that. I don't really count it because it's integral to his design of him being this type of trooper. So he has the weapon. We've got our standard Rebel blaster. We've seen this before with other figures, same sculpt. It's got new paint apps with the silver splotches on the scope and then on the mid section of the gun there. We've seen this with figures like Lando, for example. But what he does come with that's actually really cool is he comes with the Death Star plans. So this is, you know, the Death Star plans that we see in Rogue One. It's the little the disc almost with the gold paint accents on it. It's actually got a lot of sculpted little details on it. A lot of little line work details. He can hold this pretty well in his left hand. So, you know, if you want to have him giving it to Princess Leia, you've got an extra little thing to make this guy maybe a more specific trooper in your display. He can be the one that makes it, the one that survives. But I think that's a really cool addition. I guess I forgot that he was coming with this. I know we've known about this figure for a while, but when I saw this in the box, I was kind of surprised. I just completely forgot he came with something extra. So I like that. I think it's a pretty cool little inclusion. I'm always up for extra things to differentiate characters, and this is one that will make this particular trooper stand out if you have multiples. And a quick aside, a quick thing, I've had a lot of folks on social media, because I've posted pictures of these guys everywhere and it's kind of blown up since people don't have these yet, are asking whether or not the heads from these two figures, so we've got the Death Squad Commander, the Death Star Trooper, whatever you want to call him, and the Rebel Trooper, they want to know if you can swap them. And it took me some doing because these guys have double ball pegs, so the neck peg wants to pop out of the neck, not out of the head. So be sure to heat it up. That was the only way I could get the head off, and it still took some needle nose pliers to pry this guy out of the head. But you've got him here, you can kind of see the differences. So we've got a disc hinge that leads to a ball, and we've got a double ball peg. So there's a smaller ball that goes into the neck, and then there's a larger ball that goes into the head. And the balls are different sizes, so they're not the same peg size, and the hole sizes are not either. But do they fit? The answer is yes, sort of halfway not. So obviously I've got the Death Squad Commander head. This is the non-face print. I didn't buy the second one. I just didn't feel like having two. This is his head on this body. The peg is bigger, so the peg hole on this head is bigger, and it fits. It actually has more range of motion because the hole is bigger, so you can do side-to-side action better. The helmet is a little big for him, but you can see it fits relatively okay. I think it looks like he has kind of a no-neck situation going on here, though. This head, however, it has a small hole, and honestly, even with heating it up, I still had a lot of trouble trying to get this peg in there. So while you probably can do it, I am not going to distort or mess up my brand new figure just for the sake of this review. So for those of you who wanted to put your DSC head on your Rebel Trooper body, you can do that. So overall, I'm pretty happy with this figure. I think the sculpt is solid. The paint apps, where needed, are cleanly applied. I think the face sculpt is on point. I think the face printing technology really accentuates an already good sculpt. And one of the added benefits to this guy being a background character is that we don't have to worry about comparisons to a real life person. Now, I may think that he is based off in some subtle ways a specific trooper in A New Hope, but I'm not going to go back and use that as a reference piece to this particular figure. He's just supposed to be a general guy in the background that's fighting the Imperial troops. And I think it works really well here. They have done a good job of making him just kind of a generic guy. He fits the part. You can army build him. But for me, I'm not really concerned about that. I'm going to get maybe one or two more of these guys. I'm not going to army build tons of them, but I do think that this is a great inclusion of the Black Series. And if you've been looking for something to army build on the Rebel side, now is the time. So that's going to do it for this look at the Star Wars Black Series Rebel Trooper from Hasbro. Let me know what you think And until next time, guys.